Hi guys, my name is Vishal and welcome to another video of Beginner Python. Um, so in the previous video, we looked into um, condition statements. We saw how that can be used for various things. Um, in this session, we're going to go a step forward and we're going to discuss something you call as loops. Now, first, let us discuss the motivation behind loops. Now, loops are used when you want to, let's say, repeat some code. When you want to repeat some code, right? Like, for example, let us say you want to print hi 100 times. I mean, of course, it's not a real use case, but now without using a loop, you would probably do like something like this. You would say hi. You would you would probably have this statement 100 times, right? Hi, hi, hi. You will probably do this 100 different times, which is unnecessarily time consuming. You don't need to do it. Unnecessary amount of code. So that is where loops come in, right? So something that would take lots of code, you can do it in just a few lines, right? So especially when there is some kind of a repetition involved. So, or you can say any kind of repetition or pattern involved, right? So let's say I want to print hi 100 times. So that is the introduction to your for loop. So first, let me show you how I can print hi 100 times using a for loop, right? So first I'm going to write the code, then I'm going to explain that. So I will do something like for I in range 0, 100, 1, print hi. So what this does is, this is going to print hi 100 times, as you can see. So what exactly is happening here and what's the meaning of this? So we studied about the range function when we were studying lists, right? So the range function will help you sort of create a list, or it's an object that can help you iterate from 0 to 100. It'll create numbers from 0 to 100 for you, right? So what this is doing is, this is an object which sort of has 0 to 100 within it. And what this is doing is, first I takes the value of 0. First I takes the value of 0. So let me showcase that using some drawings. So first what happens is, the value of I is 0 to start with, and it's going to go here. It's going to print hi. The first hi gets printed. So from there, what happens is, it's going to come back right here, and it's going to get added by 1. So I plus 1. So I is 0, 0 plus 1. Now I will be 1. Once again, you're going to go here, and hi is going to be printed the second time. Then again, you're going to go back, right? Again, it's going to come back to right here. 1 gets added to I one more time. I is equal to 1. So 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. It comes inside once again, and I gets printed. So I think now you can guess what's going to happen again, right? It's going to come back here. It's going to add 1. I is equal to 2. So I plus 1. 2 plus 1 is equal to 3. It's going to print hi again. So this process is going to repeat until I reaches 100. Until I reaches 100. So when I is 99, when I is 99, high will be printed. It's going to come back right here. 1 is going to get added. I will become 100. And it will realize that it has reached the last number that it's allowed to get. So it's going to stop. It's not going to go inside the loop. It's going to stop. So that is how you would usually define a loop, right? Now, let's get rid of this. So 0 always refers to the starting point, 100 is the ending point, and 1 is the step size, right? So you can start with 5, and if you go all the way to 100 with a step size of 1, it means it's gonna print high 95 times. Similarly, if you start at 90, then 90 to 100 is only 10 times, so you're gonna print high 10 times. Similarly, you can start at 10, you can go all the way to 20, and again it's going to go from 10 to 20. High will be printed 10 times again, or 10 to 15, it's going to be printed 5 times, right? I is equal to 10, I is equal to 11, I is equal to 12, I is equal to 13, I is equal to 14, and when it comes to 15, it's going to come out of the loop. So that is how this thing works, and this is the step size, of course, right? So if I have 20 here, if I have 2 here in this spot, the third spot, the step size is not gonna be 1, but it's gonna be 2. So then I is going to start with 10, then 10 plus 2 is gonna be 12, 12 plus 2 is gonna be 14, 14 plus 2 is gonna be 16, 16 plus 2 gonna be 18, 18 plus 2 gonna be 20, and it's going to stop here. So it's gonna print high 5 times, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 5 times. So that's the step size, right? So that's the whole idea behind the loop. And the syntax, as you can see, is very similar to your condition statements or if statements. So you say for, and you take any variable. It doesn't have to be I, it can be j, it can be k, it can be your own name, it can be John, whatever it is, doesn't matter, right? It can be any variable, and you have your range, you define your starting point, ending point, and a step size, right? So if you want to define the syntax, let me quickly define the syntax here. So you say start, end, step size. And within the loop, you're going to have your statements. So this is how your for loop works. Now, do we always need to have range? Is this range compulsory whenever we are working with for loops? The answer is no, not really. So for example, let me say I have a list. So let me take a list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have a list of 10 numbers. Now I can just say, instead of using range, I can do something like for I in L, print I. So what this does is, now it's not referred to by this range, but rather it is referred to by what is inside the list. So first I becomes 1, then I becomes 2, then I becomes 3, then I becomes 4. So similarly, I will take each and every value of this that is within this list at each and every iteration, right? So in the first iteration, I is gonna be 1. In the second iteration, I is gonna be 2. In the third iteration, I is gonna be 3. So in each iteration, it's gonna take an individual value within this particular list, right? So it doesn't have to be with range. You can do it with a particular list. And in fact, you can also do it using a string. So for example, if I say string is equal to how are you doing? Now, I in S is going to print every single character in a string. Look at this. So first I will be H, then I will be O, then I will be W, then I will be space, then I will be A, then I will be R. So in each iteration, I is going to take the value of an individual character, right? So very useful if you want to work with lists or strings as well. Now, let's just do a couple of simple problems. Let us say I want to print only even numbers in a list. Okay, so let's say that I have a question like that. So let's say my list contains a bunch of different numbers. Okay, now I only want to print even numbers. So I'm going to say very simple for I in L, right? So for I in L means I is going to take every value within the list. I want to print the number, or I want to print I if and only if I is an even number, right? So how can I do that? What concept can I use? I can use condition statements, right? So first I'm going to check whether I is even or not, right? So I'm going to say, I'm going to use the modulus operator. So I'm going to say if I modulus 2 equal to 0, then print I. And I'm going to stop there. If it's not equal to 0, I'm not going to print I. And I'm not going to do anything. So what this means is this operator gives you the remainder. So it gives you the remainder between 5 and 2. Remainder between 5 and 2 is going to be 1 because, you have 2 as your dividend and you get 1. Then 3 mod 2 is again going to give you 1, but 2 mod 2 is going to give you 0 because there's no remainder, right, when you divide 2 by 2. And there's no remainder when you divide 6 by 2 or 8 by 2 or 12 by 2. But when you divide 7 by 2, you have a remainder, which is 1. So that's what this thing is checking. And it's going to print you all the even numbers, as we can see. Similarly, if I want to get all the odd numbers, I'm just going to say not equal to 0. This is going to give me all the odd numbers, right? So that's about how you can sort of combine condition statements and lists. So let us say I have a string, right? I have a string. So I'll say my name is John. Let us say I want to print every third character, right? I want to print every third character. So then I can say for I in range 0, comma. So here what am I going to put? What's going to be my ending point? I'll give you guys a couple of seconds to think about what the ending point is going to be. You want to go until here. So how can you indicate this last point? Well, you can use the index of it, right? So you can say length of S. Length of S is going to be your last index or last index plus 1, where you want to stop. So you're going to start from 0 and you're going to go all the way until length of x s, and you want to skip by 3, so you'll say step size of 3. You're going to print every third character. So now what should I do? Should I say print I? What's going to happen if I say print I? Well, if I say print I, it's going to print 0, 3, 6, 9, 12. Why is that? Why aren't the characters printing? Well, that is because the characters are only going to print if I say for I in S. If I say I in S, it means I is directly referring to every character in S. Here it's not I in S, it is rather I in range. So I is still taking a number within the range. So how can I convert this number into some character within the string? Now recall that each of these numbers are nothing but indices or index in this particular string, right? 0 refers to the index, first character, 1 refers to another character, 2 refers to another character, all the way until the length of that string, which is the last one. So instead of saying print I, I'm going to say print S of I. So I'm accessing the element or the character using the index. I'm accessing the character using the index. So now you can see it's going to print the 0th one, it's going to print the 3rd one, 6th one, 9th one, and 12th one. Indexes. Right? So that's the flexibility you have, right? So you can either do something like this. You can directly make I refer to a character within the string, and you can just say print I. But then you have some limitations, right? You cannot control the step size. So if you want to control the step size or anything involving the step size, then you can always say range, and you can refer to the elements by using the respective index, right? So that is sort of how you can work with lists, strings. So as you do some practice, it's gonna become a lot simpler, right? So the other kind of common problems that you would solve using loops would be anything that involves increment of numbers. So anything that involves increment of numbers. So for example, let us say you want to add number starting from 1 all the way to 100, right? So this is something that you would use a list, because you're going to start from 1 and you're going to go all the way to 100. So instead of saying 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 and typing that out, you would use a loop. Because you can increment, you can take a variable I, k or j or whatever, and you can increment, right? You can move from 1 to 2, from 2 to 3, from 3 to 4. So how would you do this? So first you're doing a sum, right? So you will take a sum, say sum is equal to 0, s is equal to 0, right? You would initialize s to be 0. Then you're going to say for I in range, you want to start from 1, not 0, right? You want to add numbers starting from 1 all the way to 100. So I'm going to start from 1. If I want to include 100, I'm going to go all the way till 101, because 101 will not be included and 100 will be included. And I want to add every number, so my step size is going to be 1, right? So now remember that I takes values from 1. First I becomes 1, then I becomes 2, then I becomes 3, then I becomes 4, right? So you're going to say s is equal to s plus I. That's all you're going to do, right? So how does this work? How does this work? let us quickly take a look on what exactly is happening here. So first what happens is you have s is equal to 0 and I is 1 to start with. Then you go inside the loop right here and you say s is equal to s plus I. So you say 0 is equal to 0 plus 1. So now s will be equal to 0 plus 1. S will be equal to 1. I know this part is confusing, but that's how it works. That's how increment works. Right? So s is equal to 1. So now what happens? It goes to this part where I increases by 1. So now I is equal to 2. Right? So now s is equal to 1. So 1 is equal to 1 plus 2. Because s is equal to 1. This is s, this is s, this is I. 1 is equal to 1 plus 2. So now this becomes 3. And s will be equal to 3. Right? So next what happens is it will come back right here and I increases by 1. Now I is equal to 3. S is also equal to 3. So next you have s is equal to s plus I again. So you have 3 is equal to 3 plus 3. This is s, this is s, this is I. So now s will be equal to 6. So s is equal to 6. Right? Now next again it comes back here and I becomes 4. Now s is equal to 6. So you have 6 plus 4. S will become 10. So observe what is happening. The numbers are getting added. 1 plus 2. First I is equal to 1, then I is equal to 2, then I is equal to 3, then I is equal to 4. This is going to repeat all the way until I reaches 100. Right? So, and similarly all the numbers will get added. It's as simple as that. And once this reaches 101, the loop will stop. So that is how you can probably add numbers from 1 to 100, right? Similarly, not just addition, you can also multiply numbers from 1 to 100. You can multiply numbers from 1 to 100. So the only difference would be that instead of taking s is equal to 0, you will take product p is equal to 1 because 0 multiplied by anything will give you 0. So you will have a bunch of 0 times 1, 0 times 2, 0 times 3. You don't want that, right? So you will take p is equal to 1 and you will do p is equal to p, not plus, because that will be adding up. You will do multiplication. So that will be the only difference. So if you do this, you can see now s will be equal to 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 all the way to 100. You do this, p will be equal to the multiplication of all those numbers, which is a huge number like this, right? So these are some of the common things you can do using a for loop. So this is like the basics of for loops, I would say. Now, let us quickly discuss another concept called a nested loop, right? So what is a nested loop? So we saw what a nested if means, right? A nested if is when you have if inside an if, right? So similarly, a nested loop is when you have a loop inside a loop, when you have a for loop for I in range 1, 100, and then you have another one, let's say for j in range 1, 100. So something like this, right? So I can say print I, j. So if I run this, Look at what happens. First you have I here and you have j here. Then you have ij, ij, ij. So how does this work? How would this work? How is this different from a single loop? So what happens is, in case of a nested loop, let me showcase. So in case of a nested loop, what happens is you start in the same way. You start with I is equal to 1. As you can see here, I always starts with 1, right? Now what happens? It goes inside the loop, right? It goes inside. But now there is no specific statement to print, or there is no operation to perform here, right? But rather there's another loop here, right? So I stays 1, I stays as 1. And now there's another variable called j I need to consider. Now j will also start with 1. J will also start with 1, right? And now inside, j starts with 1 and you go inside. Now you have a statement here. It says print I comma j. So what is I comma j? I is 1, j is 1. It's going to print 1 comma 1. Now what happens next? Remember, as soon as this gets printed, it is going to come back to the inner loop. It is going to come back to the inner loop, not the outer loop. Inner loop gets the priority. Inner loop gets the priority. Right? So now I is going to stay as it is because my inner loop is only working with j. So I is not going to change. So j is equal to 1, started with 1. Now j will get one more added to itself. So now j will be equal to 2. Now again you can see it will come back inside the inner loop and it's going to print I comma j. I is 1, j is 2. So it's going to print 1 comma 2. Again what's going to happen is going to come back to the inner loop. J will get 1 added to it. J will be equal to 3. It's going to come inside and it's going to print I comma j. I stays as 1, j is 3. This becomes 1 comma 3. And this is going to continue until when? Until j reaches which number? It is going to continue until j reaches 100. So until j is equal to 99, it's going to print this thing. It's going to go all the way to j is equal to 99 and I is equal to 1. Once the inner loop condition is done, once it stops, once it reaches its breaking point, which is 100, then you go back to the outer loop. You go back to the outer loop and you increment I. Now I will be equal to 2. Now I is equal to 2. And what happens after I is equal to 2? There is no statement within I or the primary or the first loop. So it's going to go to the inner loop again. Now the inner loop, once again, even though j had already taken a value of 100, it's going to again start with 1. So j again starts with 1 and it's going to go all the way to 99. So next the set of numbers will be 2, j will be 1, then I is 2, j will be 2, I is 2, j will be 3, I is 2, j will be 4, goes all the way to I is 2, j will be 99. Then again j will reach 100. You're going to come out of this outer inner loop. You will come back to the outer loop and I will be equal to 3 now. It will get added, 1 will get added to I will be equal to 3. Again, there's no statement after the outer loop. So there's another inner loop. So again, j is going to start with 1. So now it's going to be 3 comma 1, 3 comma 2. So till when is this going to repeat? This process is going to repeat until I is equal to 99. So you'll get 99 comma 1, 99 comma 2, all the way to 99 comma 99, which is your stopping point of both these loops. Then I will finally reach 100 and you're going to come outside of both the loops. You'll be done with your entire loop. So that is how your nested loop works, right? That is how your nested loop works, right? So what kind of a use case can we, like, why would you use a nested loop? Let us say I want to, let's take a simple use case. You want to have the multiplication tables from 1 to 10. So have each tables until 10. So I'm going to do 1 times 2, 1 times 1, 1 times 2, 1 times 3, all the way to 1 times 10. Then I'll do 2 times 1, 2 times 2, 2 times 3, all the way to 2 times 10. I'll do 3 times 1, 3 times 2, 3 times 3, all the way to 3 times 10. So like that, right? So how do I approach this problem? So I'm going to say, let my outer loop be the outer loop represent what number tables I am doing. And let the inner loop do the multiplication tables, right? So let me do it in this way. Let's see how it can work. It might be a little confusing in the beginning, but you will get a hang of it. So now I'm going to write my outer loop. My outer loop is going to tell me what number tables I need to write. So I need to go from table 1 to table 10. So I will say go all the way from 1 and I'll say 11 because I want to include 10. And I want to skip by 1 because I want tables of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all of them. Okay, so I'll say for I in range 1, 11, 1. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to say for j in range, I'm going to take, first I need to do 1 times 1, 1 times 2, 1 times 3, all the way to 1 times 10, right? So I'll take again, I want to start with 1 times 1, I want to go all the way to 1 times 10. I want to skip by 1 because I want 1 times 1, 1 times 2, 1 times 3, all of them, right? Then I'm going to say print. I'll say, let's say, so this is how I can print a number using print. So I'll say I multiplied by, or let me use x to get a better representation, and I'll take j here and I'll say equal to I times j. I times j, right? So this will give me the tables, as you can see, right? Very simple. So what happens? Let's quickly go through. First, it starts from 1, right? It's going to go inside. Then j also starts from 1. So first I is equal to 1, j is equal to 1. That will give you 1 times 1. Now remember the inner loop gets the priority. So j will get updated. J will become 2. So 1 times 2 is 2. Then again inner loop will get updated. J will be 3. 1 times 3 is 3. This will repeat all the way until j reaches 11. When j is 11, it's going to come back to the outer loop. Now in the outer loop, I will get 1 added to it. So I will become 2. And again j will start from 1. So now again you have 2 times 1. J will become 2. 2 times 2. J will become 3. 2 times 3. It'll repeat all the way until j hits 11. Then again it's going to come back to the outer loop. Now I will get 1 added to it and I will become 3. So this process will repeat until I becomes 11. So once you have 10 times 10 is equal to 100, your loop will go on until that point. Right? So that is how your nested loop would work. Right? Very useful. You can do a bunch of different things using nested loops. So we will look at a bit more. That's not the end of loops. There's a lot more to cover with respect to loops. But for this video, it's enough. You can just work around, practice a few more things, explore loops, nested loops, and we'll meet in the next video. Thank you.